Welcome back to Shadow and Light. This podcast lives in the space between who we are and who we are going to become. And today I want to talk about something that sits right in that in between, trying to build relationships while dealing with mental health. Not after you've healed, not once everything feels stable, but during the process. There's this idea that you have to be fully healed before you're allowed to love somebody, that you need to have your anxiety managed, your triggers under control, and your past neatly wrapped up. But most of us don't heal alone. I didn't wait until I felt ready to want a connection. I wanted love while I was still learning how to live with my own mind. Mental health doesn't enter relationships quietly. For me, it looked like constant worrying. I was too much, over apologizing. I'm really bad at that one. Feeling responsible for other people's emotions. Relate to that because I always felt like I had to be the caregiver role and sacrifice my feelings so the other person can calm down. Being afraid to speak up because conflict felt unsafe. Definitely am guilty of that. It's the people pleasing. Wanting reassurance but feeling ashamed for needing it. I was always told that reassurance is an insecure needing reassurance is an insecurity, so you should be able to reassure yourself. And that cannot be more not true. These weren't flaws, these were survival skills. I learned how to keep the peace before I learned how to keep myself. Having unhealthy relationships and boundaries. A big part of my journey has been realizing that I've been in some really unhealthy relationships. And when mental health is involved, setting boundaries can feel absolutely terrifying. Because boundaries risk connection, they risk being misunderstood. They risk people leaving. There were times I lost myself trying to make things work. Times I ignored my needs to avoid conflict. Times I stayed longer than I should have because I hoped love would fix what boundaries hadn't been set to protect. Learning to say no, learning to step back, and learning to choose myself. These have been some of the hardest parts because relationships are complicated. And when you care deeply, it's easy to blur the line between loving someone and abandoning yourself. For a long time, I confused familiarity with safety. I was drawn to people who felt emotionally intense or unpredictable because my nervous system recognized that chaos is normal. And when things felt calm, I didn't trust it. Mental health can make you cling when you want security or pull away when closeness feels overwhelming. Neither one of them means you're broken. It just means your nervous system is trying to protect you. The shift came with awareness. I stopped asking what is wrong with me and started asking what happened to me. I learned that needing reassurance isn't manipulation, that having triggers doesn't make me toxic, that asking for clarity isn't weakness, and I learned that boundaries aren't walls. They're how we stay connected without losing ourselves. Relationships aren't a reward for healing. They're often a part of it. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy of connection. But healing doesn't mean taking responsibility, not for having emotions, but for how you express them. A partner isn't a therapist, but a healthy relationship can still be a safe place to grow. I'm still going to be learning things, and I'm constantly going to be learning things. Some of the things that I'm learning right now is sitting with discomfort instead of fixing it immediately. Let silence exist without assuming abandonment. Speak my needs without apologizing for them. Hold boundaries even when it feels uncomfortable. Some days I feel grounded, other days I feel fragile. Both versions of me are real, and both deserve love. Closing. If you're trying to build relationships while carrying anxiety, trauma, or emotional scars, you're not broken, you're brave. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. Sometimes it happens when you stop shrinking yourself to keep someone else comfortable. Thank you for sitting with me in both shadow and the light. Until next time, take care of yourself and your heart.